I'm going to speak about the rules of active to passive voice. So let's start with simple present tense. Active to passive voice are very simple. Active voice is actually when the subject is expressing an action or doing an action, right? And passive voice is when the object is doing an action. So you can see here we use active voice, first form of the verb. So our active voice uses first form of the verb. It's generally subject, verb, and object. All right, this is how we write a sentence, correct? So subject is the one that is doing an action. The subject is doing an action. If the subject is doing an action, the subject is actually called a doer, right? Subject is the doer of an action, and the action is always the verb. Whenever you have subject which is doing an action, and the object is the receiver, right? Receiver means you get it, or the action happens on you. So if the action is received or the action is happening on the object and it is done by the subject, we have an active voice, okay? But the opposite is like this. Write the object first and then we write the subject at the end when we write a passive voice. And so we still have a subject and then we have a be verb, remember? After be verb, we have the third form of the verb, right? Is the past participle form of the verb because that is what is making it passive. And then you will have an object. Now, in this order, the subject is actually not doing the action. The subject is actually receiving the action, and the doer of the action is actually the object. If you have a sentence where the subject is not doing an action but receiving, we call it passive voice. But if the subject is doing, then it is active. If the subject is receiving the action, we call it passive voice. Right. So I hope you will remember from your previous level that this was active and passive. Now, what we do in present simple, if we have a present simple sentence or present simple active voice, how do we write the passive in present simple? Remember, the key is the be verb here. You see, we have a be verb. In present simple, we use is, right? I've written it here, am and are. So we have is, am, or are. Remember, it depends on the subject, what subject you are using here. If you have he, she, it, then necessarily you will use is, right? The third person singular. If you have subject like I, then obviously you will need am. But if you have plural subjects, then you need are. And after that, you need the third form of the verb. So if you have play, this will become played. If you have eat, it will become eaten. So you need to use a third form after the be verb when you make the passive voice. I'm going to show you the examples right here. We have examples. I play football. Who plays football? I play football. So I is actually the doer of the action. Yes or no? Do you think football is doing the playing? No, the football can't play. Football is actually played. So who is playing football here? The subject. The subject is I, and it is doing the action. So this is active voice. Just like that, look at this sentence. She drinks tea. So who is the doer of the action of drinking tea? Who drinks tea? She drinks tea. So she is your subject and she is the doer. So this is active voice. Okay. So active voice is when the subject is doing an action. He goes home. So he is doing the action. All of these are your active voice. Now, in order to make them passive, I told you if you have subject, verb, and object in active, you will also have subject, verb, and object in passive. But the order will change. You will write the object first and you will write the subject. And the verb here will be the verb plus third form of the verb. So notice here, I play football. Football is played. Now you need agent. Agent is the doer. You need to introduce the doer. How do you introduce? With the word by. By is the agent. Okay. This is what makes sure who is doing the action. Okay, so first you write football, which is the object, then you write the be verb, and then you write the third form of the verb. All right, and then you need the word by, and after that you need the objective form of I, because this is subject, so I is good here, but when you write in the object you can't write I, you have to write me. So football is played by me. This is your passive voice. Do you think football is playing here? No. Football is the subject, but football is not doing the action. Me is the object, and me is actually doing the action. When the object is doing an action, it is passive. Subject is doing an action, it is. Just like that, you have example here. She drinks tea. Tea is drunk by me. The verb, third form of the verb. He goes home. Home is gone by me. So you have the verb is and then third form of the verb gone. Notice here we have actually is all the way. Why we have this? Because how many is your subject? Just one. Football. It's not footballs. It's just one. Tea is just one. Home is also one. Singular. That's why you have is. Okay. But if you have more than that, then you need are for it. Okay. Now, any question regarding this? Have you understood? If yes, please type yes. If no, write your question. Thank you. Any question, anybody? Have you understood this part? Bushra says yes. Bara says no question. Aisha says so. I just assume that you have understood this. And if you ever have any questions, please write to me on WhatsApp and I'll try to help. Now, I need to tell you one more thing in this, and that is you notice here by me, when you are writing a report, now what is important is what was done. We are not what you call, it's not important to know who has done it. When you write passive voice, we are concerned about, we are more interested about what was done, okay, the action, not who has done it. So you can sometimes remove or you can finish your what you call passive voice after the verb itself. You don't have to write by me or by him or by Ali or by somebody. You don't need that at all. Okay, in report writing. But when it is a grammar activity, I think you should not forget to write. Okay, so you can also say football is played. He is drunk. Home is gone. You don't have to write football is played by me. He is drunk by me or home is gone by me because you are writing a report. So in report, you don't need to write by who, all right? But if it is a grammar exercise and activity, you should write by me because it's grammar activity and not report. Okay.